The pit area, always a busy place at a NASCAR Winston Cup race. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside Winston Cup Racing. We're at the Rock, the North Carolina Motor Speedway at Rockingham, North Carolina, where they ran the Goodwrench 200 Busch Grand National race a week ago and the Goodwrench 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race. Of course, we have those highlights for you and lots more in this half hour of Inside Winston Cup Racing.
The Goodwrench 500 was dominated by Ford drivers Bill Elliott and Davey Ellison, with Bill eventually bringing home the bacon for his first win ever with car owner Junior Johnson. Highlights coming up.
And you'll meet the driver of the Texas Pete Chevrolet in the Busch Grand National Division. Joe Nemechek's ready to run as he looks for the BGN Championship.
Ward Burton outraced a crowded field in a record 13 caution flags to capture his first Grand National victory, beating Mark Martin by less than a second to win the Goodwrench 200 at Rockingham. We'll have the race recap.
Inside Winston Cup Racing is brought to you by coal-filtered Miller Genuine Draft and Miller Genuine Draft Light, taking the country by storm. Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. And by Goodyear, maker of the world's most successful tires, the Goodyear Eagles.
Last year, Davey Allison added something new to his car. It wasn't wider tires or a slicker shape. It was the same Haviland Formula 3 motor oil you can buy, straight off the shelf, to add more life to your car with complete protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. Now, we're not saying it was Haviland Formula 3 that gave Davey the energy to lead more major NASCAR races than anyone last year and win this year's Daytona 500. But we're not saying it wasn't.
All of these championship-winning drivers have one thing in common: Goodyear Racing Eagles. The race-winning technology that's found in the Goodyear Racing Eagles can also be found in the world's best-selling line of high-performance street tires, Goodyear Eagle Street Radials. The champions know, and it's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
Cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
Hi there, I'm Charlie Chase.
I'm Lori Ann Crook. TNN is presenting the Music City News Country Songwriters Awards on 11.
It's a chance to see the superstars who sing the hit songs and meet the talented folks who write them.
After the top songs of the year are announced, stay tuned to TNN as Charlie and I interview the award winners live backstage.
Get the stars' first reactions here on our wrap-up show live from the Opry House.
The Music City News Country Songwriters Awards wrap-up, Wednesday on TNN.
This track, the North Carolina Motor Speedway, has had a lot of nicknames over the years. Of course, the most affectionate one is the Rock. Well, some people have called it Rainingham, but I'll tell you that was not the case this past weekend. Prettiest weather we've seen here, maybe ever, at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. Just great days for racing, and certainly there was a lot of action. And, Randy, there's some news as well.
Well, Ned, no question about it. The weather was absolutely perfect here at Rockingham all weekend long. Beginning on Friday, that's when the teams rolled their cars off the trailer and took to the track for qualifying. The question on Friday was, could Kyle Petty make it 3 pole positions in a row for the Goodwrench 500? The answer, yes, with a new track record. But prior to qualifying, it was once again the inspection procedure, this time for over 40 cars that showed up at Rockingham, and it continued to be a concern. Making chassis adjustments during practice usually meant putting your car back through the templates and making sure it would measure up to NASCAR specs. Jimmy Means, fighting to keep his career going despite not having a sponsor, pushed not only his Pontiac through, but a Chevrolet to be driven by Johnny McFadden. Barry Dotson, former crew chief for the faltering Team 3 organization, he's still hoping to hit the track with a new sponsor in the near future, but he was on hand at Rockingham to help out Derek Cope's Purelator ride after the subsequent departure of Derek's crew chief Doug Williams last week. Surprises during qualifying came when Dick Trickle claimed the 11th quickest lap, and both Chevrolet drivers Ricky Rudd and Darrell Waltrip drove to a disappointing 23rd and 24th starting position. When the green flag flew for the Goodwrench 500, Kyle Petty, as expected, jumped out to the early lead over outside pole sitter Bill Elliott. But the lead didn't last long as Petty's Pontiac quickly faded from the picture. There were also early race problems for Alan Kowicki and Dale Earnhardt. Alan drifted up in front of Dale on lap 51, nearly flipping his Ford. Earnhardt would fight a toe-in and brake problem the rest of the afternoon. There were also problems for several other competitors throughout the 4-hour affair, but the biggest problem were the Fords of Bill Elliott and Davey Allison, who led a combined 450 laps. It was also a tough day for Ford drivers Morgan Shepherd, as well as Jeff and Brett Bodine, all collected in this crash in turn 2. After the caution, Allison controlled the pace, leading the next 116 laps, including the Gillette halfway lap. Elliott would take the lead once again after this final wreck in the afternoon involving Chad Little, Ricky Rudd, Jimmy Means, and Rusty Wallace on lap 278. Elliott's Ford was flawless over the final 213. Allison ran a solid second but was unable to cut into Bill's advantage. Harry Gant and Mark Martin managed to give the fans a race as they at times battled for 3rd and 4th. While Gant was able to hang on to the lead lap, Martin could not. Elliott crossed the finish line 12 seconds ahead of Daytona winner Davey. Harry finished 3rd, followed by Michael Waltrip and Ken Schrader 1 lap down.
You know, Junior needed to win to get back on winner's circle, you know, to be back with Budweiser or be with Budweiser now in Amoco and still be with Ford. You know, all those folks, without them, you know, I can't be here. And, you know, this is an extra special win for me. We run so good at Daytona to kind of have everything kind of go wrong down there, but you know, we come back today and did everything right.
Well, it's time now for a short break. When we come back, we'll have a story on Busch Grand National driver Joe Nemechek. We'll also have highlights of the Goodwrench 200 from here at the Rock. And as we leave you for this break, here's the balance of the finishing order for the Goodwrench 500.
Are you still polishing your car the old-fashioned way? Rubbing, buffing, and waxing, only to highlight all those nasty nicks and scratches? Well, now you can throw them all away. Introducing Color Match, the acrylic sealant that actually matches your car's original color. Now you can use Color Match to cover all those minor nicks and scratches with a protective shine that lasts for 1 full year guaranteed. Watch how it works. First, we'll damage this car's paint. Ouch! That's damage. Now watch as we apply the Color Match system. Look how easily it goes on. Now watch how those nicks and scratches disappear. Now you see them, now you don't. Even dull, faded finishes are brought back to the car's original color with an acrylic finish, the same color as your car's original paint.
Color Match restores and protects your car's finish from the damaging rays of the sun and the punishing effects of Mother Nature without leaving those ugly swirl marks.
Color Match really works. And it's so easy to use. Color Match made my nicks and scratches disappear.
With Color Match, you'll have the right color with results that last 1 full year guaranteed. Even after 50 times through the car wash, it won't wash off. And don't worry, Color Match is not a paint. It's a high-tech dye in an acrylic polish blended to match your car's color. Experts agree, Color Match makes everything else obsolete. The Color Match system is yours for only $19.95. And if you order now, you'll receive a second bottle in the color of your choice absolutely free.
But wait, that's not all. We'll also throw in Glass Shield Window Protectant, our amazing Duragloss Vinyl Leather and Tire Restorer, and Fog Shield, the Fog Eliminator.
An extra bonus value of over $20, yours free when you order the complete Color Match car care system for only $19.95. Here's how to order. Call 1-800-647-9100 or send check or money order for $19.95 plus $4.95 shipping and handling to Color Match, 300 McCann Street, Nashville, Tennessee, 37210.
Ever seen stars in the daytime? Video Morning, where the stars shine every day. 9 to noon Eastern on TNN.
I've said for a long time that the sport of auto racing is blessed with race driver talent. And certainly one driver that fits into that category, an up-and-coming young man, is Joe Nemechek from the state of Florida. He didn't start racing until the late 80s, but he has already made a good mark in the sport of auto racing. Our Dan Kenyon had an opportunity recently to sit down and talk to Nemechek.
Joe Nemechek is beginning to make his mark on the Busch Grand National Circuit. Besides receiving Rookie of the Year honors in 1990, he finished 6th in the points in 91, all without a major sponsor. This season, Texas Pete came aboard, and their sponsorship lifted some heavy weights off of Joe's shoulders.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of pressure off of me, not having to worry about how you're going to pay the tire bills and pay this and pay that. Worry more about getting the race car ready to run and preparing it to win races.
Does that enable you to, once you're sitting in the car, you know you don't have to deal with that kind of stuff, and it makes it an easier drive for you?
Oh, yeah. You can get in there and you can take a few more chances. Still use my head. I think I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive, but you use your head and drive wisely, and you can take a few more chances.
Joe started racing at age 13 and collected over 100 victories. Only these wins came on a motorcycle.
I was reading your bio. It said you started off in the motocross. You had a lot of appearances now. Why did you decide to get into BGN?
One of the biggest reasons was my body wouldn't take it anymore. I hurt my knees, my hips, my ankles. Motocross is a very, very demanding sport as far as physically. Won a lot of races, raced against the best there was. It was just very demanding, and it takes its toll on your body. And it was just time to go from 2 wheels to 4 wheels.
Those 4 wheels brought him to NASCAR. This, his 3rd season, looked to start well. He got the outside pole at Daytona and led many laps. However, midway through the race, Joe was involved in a frightening accident. His car burst into flames. Fortunately, he was okay.
I went down the racetrack. Once you go down at Daytona, you're usually going to come back up the bank. And I was just praying that no one would hit me in the door. And I looked over when I started going back up, and here was Chuck Bound. He had no place to go. Everybody was spinning. There was smoke everywhere. I just watched him, looked right at him when he hit me in the door. And it wasn't bad. He hit pretty hard. The worst thing is when it hit the fuel cell in the back and the fire started. It dumped so much fuel on top of the car and in the car and on me. When it ignited, it was just unbelievable, the heat.
Since his Busch career began, Joe became friends with an influential Dale Earnhardt. Joe gets lots of advice, and Dale is quick to praise the promising young driver.
Well, I think he's a clean-cut driver. He's one of the young drivers that's coming up that we've talked to and watched over the years, and I think he's got a lot of promise. Got a great family. His mom and dad's great. Really enjoy being with them and around them. And Joe comes over and he's a sensible talking guy. You know, you talk to some people about racing and they got some funny ideas, but Joe's right on the ground, ready to go, and I think he's eager to learn and eager to do well, and I think he will. I think he'll go far in the future. I was happy to see him get hooked up with a sponsor this year, and hopefully his racing will go great for him this year. He had a bad start at Daytona with the fire and everything, but, you know, Joe's a good guy. He'll bounce back, and he's tough.
One thing you can't miss in the garage area is Joe's family. They're all involved, and it's truly a team effort.
I have 2 other brothers and 1 sister. Mom and Dad are very much involved. Dad is more of an advisor, but he's hands-on. He's getting our building in shape. I mean, anything needs to be done, he does. Mom times everybody at the racetrack, scores, does things like that. My brother John, he's probably one of the real valuable ones. He's doing all my bodies right now, hanging my sheet metal. And he's done 4 cars so far, and the first one's been pretty fast at Daytona. So I have another brother, Mark, that lives in Florida. He makes a lot of our parts at our machine shop down there. And my sister is married to George Crenshaw, which he's driving in the Dash Series. So everybody in the family is involved.
Nemechek is definitely focused. Now he's got one thing on his mind.
We're going after the championship. I think we have a team and equipment, motors, drivers getting more experience. I think we have the capability of winning the championship, and that's what our goals are.
I tell you, folks, with the backing of Texas Pete Hot Sausage, Joe Nemechek could be a threat for the championship this year. We need to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have highlights of the Goodwrench 200 as well as the mailbox. But before we go to this break, let's go back to Joe Nemechek for this week's Haviland Track Talk.
This edition of Track Talk is brought to you by Haviland. Add more life to your car.
Hi, I'm Joe Nemechek. I'm fortunate to be sitting here today after living through that fireball at Daytona. Due to NASCAR's high safety standards, I was not hurt very badly. Minor burns, which were healing quickly. We learned a lot through that crash. Never thought that I would end up in a fireball like that, but we learned a lot. The flames and heat was so intense in the car. Safety equipment is so very important. Fire suits, helmets, and we learned something about roll bar padding. We had normal roll bar padding in the car at the time, except for a couple locations. This is what happens to roll bar padding when it gets hot. There's different types. We had normal roll bar padding on the majority of the roll bars. Few special places around my head, we use a roll bar padding that is high impact, like this piece here. This piece is still straight, and this piece is melted. This piece went through the most intense heat, never caught fire, never melted. Just a little tip, when things get hot and they start melting and they get on you, it can make severe burns. The new high energy impact material seemed to be the way to go, and we're changing everything in all of our cars. Here's another piece of material, just to see how intense the heat was. It melted the glass, it melted everything in the car. But luckily due to NASCAR and everybody's safety rules and research development, things keep getting better and better, and I'm living proof I'm still here today.
In America, your car doesn't just get you from here to there. It's a part of your life. To give your car complete protection, Texaco has developed Haviland Formula 3 motor oil. With not one, but 3 kinds of protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
Genuine draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
I guess you could say I live life in the fast lane. That's why time with my family is so important. And when we all get together for dinner, we like to eat steak. That's why we shop at Winn-Dixie, because there's nothing like WD brand U.S. choice beef.
You know, the best thing about life in the fast lane is when you put it in park.
Hi, this is Charlie Chase, along with my new Funny Biz victim, Ralph Embry, inviting you to join us for the next show. What do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah.
I wish I could do this in person.
Besides putting the bite on Ralph, we'll try a little country corn, find a new guitar player for Marty Brown, and tell Pam Tillis exactly what to do. Plus, a flashback with the Statler brothers.
A brand new Funny Business with Charlie Chase, Wednesday, 8 and 11 p.m. Eastern on TNN. NASCAR, NHRA, kart, the world of outlaws. Go inside the exciting, colorful, and dangerous world of auto racing with NASCAR great Neil Bonnet. He knows winners. Sports Sundays on TNN.
It was Dale Earnhardt in victory lane last year in the Pontiac Excitement 400 at Richmond, edging Ricky Rudd with a record speed. Current points leader Davey Allison sat on the pole last year and will be looking for his second win of the season and a firm grip on the top spot in the points race. We'll have the highlights next week.
And in the first of a two-part series, we'll show you what drives one of the biggest auto dealers in the United States, Winston Cup car owner Rick Hendrick.
We got about 2,000 employees. We sell 25 different kinds of cars. And we're the largest Saturn dealer in the country, too.
The Richmond Raceway promises lots of action. Busch Grand National cars will heat up the track for the Pontiac Excitement 200. We'll have all the action.
The NASCAR Busch Grand National races on Saturday afternoon are always exciting and usually very competitive, and that was the case in the Goodrich 200 here at the Rock. Now, normally the NASCAR Winston Cup drivers dominate those races on tracks that are 1 mile or longer. Well, it was a refreshing sight to see the Busch Grand National regulars do very well in the Goodrich 200, and Bill Weber, one of those, was on the pole.
Ned, among the stories that unfolded here prior to the Goodrich 200, Kenny Wallace debuted his new Dirt Devil car. He's teaming with car owner Felix Sabatas here in 1992. And on the pole for this race, 1991 Busch Grand National Rookie of the Year, Jeff Gordon. Jeff still looking for that elusive first victory. Could it come here today?
I sure hope so. Things are really going good for us this weekend, and you know, the pole was just one step, but we got another step to conquer, and that's winning this sucker. But I tell you, as well as it's going, I think we can do it.
Gordon took the green flag and led the first 21 laps of the 197-lap Demolition Derby. The 36-car field included Winston Cup regulars Dale Earnhardt, who took the lead on lap 22, and Bill Elliott, who took it back to the garage on lap 62. Mark Martin lost his clutch on lap 3, but still took his Ford to the front on lap 55, battling with Jeff Burton, Joe Bessie, and Earnhardt for the lead. Earnhardt recaptured the lead on lap 79. Martin and Davey Allison remained a threat, while Kenny Wallace and the Burton brothers were running strong laps and racing well within reach of the lead. When Jeff Berry spun on the backstretch, the 5th caution flag flew on lap 99. 37 of the next 69 laps were run under yellow. The caution flew a record 13 times for 66 laps for incidents involving Todd Bodine, Mike Wallace, Richard Lassiter, Rich Burgess, Clifford Allison, Tommy Houston, and others. Jeff Burton led for 19 laps, but lost the lead and a lap when his right front wheel locked up during a pit stop. Restarts were a wild scene, with drivers spanning 5 and 6 abreast heading toward turn 1, and while most managed to get through, NASCAR was not happy with some of the passing practices. When Earnhardt went under Bessie in turn 3 trying to rope in the leaders, Robert Presley decided to follow. Presley and Bessie made contact. The 7-car spun, and Presley was parked. By NASCAR, a 1-lap penalty for overly aggressive driving. The closing laps featured a charge, a challenge, and a chance for the fans to witness a first-time winner. The charge came from Ward Burton in the Gwaltney Big 8's Buick, racing past Earnhardt and Allison to take the lead with 22 laps left. The challenge came from Martin, who roared into second in the closing laps and may have had the power to catch Burton, but did not have the time. Ward won by less than a second, capturing his first ever Busch Grand National victory.
Well, I tell you what, I'm one of the luckiest guys in the world to have the kind of sponsor, team, and calling I got, and I'm just, without them, I wouldn't be here.
Today's mailbox is brought to you by Miller Genuine Draft.
And our question today is from Sheree Peters of Jackson, Mississippi, who writes, where are the spotters for the drivers located that you're always talking about? Well, Sheree, for that answer, we'll go to Jimmy Spencer, who drives the Molly Black Gold Chevrolet number 98.
Sheree, that's a good question. I think one of the most important things in Winston Cup racing is the spotters, and they are located outside the racetrack, high above the grandstands. They all have two-way communications to the drivers and the crew chiefs, and the very good spotters are the ones that are always staying way ahead of the car to determine the accidents in front of them, smoke, debris on the racetrack, things like that. Very key person. Thank you for writing in.
If you have any race questions, you can write to us at Inside Winston Cup Racing, Box 240-417, Charlotte 28224. If we use your question on the air, you'll receive this embroidered Miller Genuine Draft jacket free. Fans 21 and under will receive an IWCR cap and T-shirt.
Our time's up for today. Hope you enjoyed the show, and you be sure to be with us here next week for more on Inside Winston Cup Racing, when we'll come to you from Richmond, Virginia.
Inside Winston Cup Racing has been brought to you by coal-filtered Miller Genuine Draft and Miller Genuine Draft Light, taking the country by storm. And by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. Transportation for Inside Winston Cup Racing crew provided by Fleetwood Enterprises, makers of a full line of excellent recreational vehicles. Communications for Inside Winston Cup Racing crew provided by Racing Radios, Forest Park, Georgia, the official communications of NASCAR.